Hey everyone, I'm Nessa,
And I'm T.
and together we are the Casual Fangirls, and we are here today to discuss Marvel's latest Phase 4 MCU movie, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
Yes, we have traveled the multiverse to pick apart the plot and give you all of our thoughts. But before we do, T, hit them with the spoiler warning.
So, as you all know, one of the biggest movies of the year just dropped, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. We're about to talk about the movie. We are about to talk about details from that movie. Again, we are about to talk about details from the movie that just came out. So, if you have not seen Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and you don't want it spoiled, just pause this, go watch the movie, come back and watch this video. In addition to that, you probably should have also seen the original Doctor Strange movie. You probably should have seen Infinity War. You definitely should have watched WandaVision, in my opinion. And what if the TV series on Disney Plus would have also helped to give a lot of context to what happened in this movie? And then, of course, your blanket MCU, like watch all the MCU. It's great. Come back and do this. But those are the entities that you really need in order to understand what's happening in this forgive me, movie. So with that, Nessa, let's get the recap started.
Yes, so this movie kicks off full speed. We got Ponytail Strange and America Chavez on the run from a one-eyed monster attempting to reach the Book of Ashanti in order to get what they need to stop America from being chased. We quickly learn this demonic beast is after America's powers, which she is not able to control. She has the ability to create star-shaped portals that allow her to travel through different universes, an extremely powerful ability. Ponytail Strange makes the decision to sacrifice America in order to absorb her power for the greater good of the universe. Definitely giving major Grindelwald vibes. Like, if you've seen Fantastic Beasts, if you know, you know.
Yeah.
Right? America manages to open a portal and land in our sacred timeline.
So our sacred timeline we learn in this movie is actually Earth 616. So our Doctor Strange, and in this movie, it's the first time, like I mentioned, that we even learned that our universe is 616. Our Strange is at Christine's wedding, who's getting married to a brother. I mean, I'm here for it.
Yes.
He runs into Dr. West, who questions his actions during Infinity War and is asked by Christine if he's happy. Strange hears all the commotion in the street as America is running from the beast. He and Wong take down the beast and save America. Dr. Strange realizes that the beast was covered in ruins, which points to the direction of a witch. And that's where Wanda comes in. So Strange goes to talk to Wanda. And in the conversation, we find out that it's Wanda that's after America. Wanda wants America's powers in order to find her sons. Remember WandaVision, everyone? All that's coming full circle. Mm-hmm. Wanda warns Strange to hand over the girl, otherwise she's going to unleash her wrath. Wanda attacks Camartage, where America is being hidden. She slaughters so many sorcerers, but Strange and America wind up escaping through a portal. We watch Strange in America go through several different universes, which we're going to talk about what all those things look like, until they land on Earth 838. Back in 616, the Darkhold book is destroyed, but Wanda won't stop. She kidnaps Wong and heads to the Temple of the Darkhold, where the original Darkhold inscriptions reside. She possesses her Earth 838 self to hunt down America and plans to eventually take over so she can raise her sons in that universe. She successfully grabs America, brings her back to 616, while at the same time banishing 616 Strange and 838 Christine to another universe.
Yes. Oh, there's more. There's more, y'all. And in this collapsing universe, where a sinister Strange stopped at nothing to be with Christine, 616 Strange uses the Darkhold obtained from Sinister Strange to save America. Unlike Ponytail Strange, our 616 Doctor Strange encourages America to believe in herself, and she takes full control of her powers. She shows the Scarlet Witch the error of her ways. Wanda decides to sacrifice herself and destroy the temple and all the Darkholds across the multiverse. America decides to stay on 616 to train as a sorcerer in Camartage. And Strange heads back to New York, but my boy's got a third eye on the top of his forehead, right? A sign that the dark magic has actually taken its toll on him.
Right. So in the first stinger, as if that movie didn't feel long enough, but that's just recapping it. In the first mid-credit scene or mid-credit stinger, Cleo arrives. Cleo's a new character we have not met before in the MCU. She arrives informing Strange that incursions are happening across the multiverse and they need to fix it. Strange and his third eye agree and they're like, let's go. Let's just go do this. They hop into the portal and go. And in the post-credit scene, Bruce Campbell, who starred in Raimi's Evil Dead franchise, plays a pizza ball vendor who was cursed to hit himself by Strange. During the scene, this after-credit scene, Bruce finally stops hitting himself, and then he looks into the camera and says, "It's over."
Like,
which I didn't get because I hadn't seen that franchise or that movie, but yeah,
I don't think it was so much from that franchise. I think it was more like a commentary of like how the audience is so trained to wait to the end. It's like, it's over, go home. I felt that's what I felt like it was, but I haven't seen Evil Dead either, so
yeah.
knows,
so
maybe.
I heard through the grapevine that in the Evil Dead he does something similar, so he just says something else instead of saying it's over.
Okay.
So yes to what you're saying, and then also I didn't see it, so it didn't click. But that's not the first time the MCU has done something like that. At the end of Homecoming, Spider-Man Homecoming, the after credit scene was one of the Captain America like phys ed videos from the movie. And I think the video was it was a commentary. It was like, you know how you're like waiting for something to happen and then nothing happens? And it was like if I remember correctly. So yeah, that was the post-credit scene.
Awesome.
And really quickly, some movie facts to back that up. So the director of this movie was Sam Raimi, as we mentioned. It stars the one and only Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. We have Elizabeth Olsen returning to play Wanda, aka Scarlet Witch. We have Xochitl Gomez playing America. And then Rachel McAdams returning to play Christine as like the kind of big four. Of course, you have Wong and plenty of other cameos that we're going to talk about. And then in its opening weekend, the movie brought in 450 million globally.
Oof.
So not bad in my opinion. So let's kick off this conversation with Nessa. If you were going to describe this movie in 3 words, what words would you use?
So the words that I chose were horror, humorous, and it's not really a word, but comic booky.
Okay.
This definitely fell into the horror, well, what the MCU would call the horror genre, right? And definitely took a lot of elements from that genre and put it into this movie. But at the same time, it felt very comic booky, where it's like you do have all this madness happening at one time, and a lot of like the visuals kind of look like, you know, splash pages or something that you would see in comic books, or like even when Professor X is doing like his telepathy thing, it's like this woof, 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 and you're seeing like the visual of like him using his power. I was like, oh yeah, that looks like it's from a comic book. And I put humorous in there because honestly, this was, and well, I'll kind of go into this a little bit later, but this was the first time that I really enjoyed Doctor Strange as a character and his humor. And I was into it. What were your 3 words?
So instead of horror, I put strange, pun intended. It was the movie felt strange to me. It felt it didn't feel like it's obviously an MCU movie because I'm looking at all MCU characters, but the feel of it and because I don't watch horror movies, I probably would not have used the term horror because I'm not used to watching those movies. But it felt different. It felt strange. I also have comic book-ish as my word.
Nice.
For all the reasons you just said. I think the first time it felt comic bookish was when America and Doctor Strange were first blasted through all the universes and we got to see all the different universes. And I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. And then at one point they were like paint and I was like, that's weird.
Yeah.
That's strange. I don't know how I feel about this. But then really where it hit home, where I was just like, oh, I'm in a comic book. And I think a lot of people love this scene. And I'm not saying the scene was bad, but it was when it was most obvious to me was the musical note fight. That was when I was just like, this is straight out of, this feels like lifted off of a panel and just plopped onto the screen. So
Yeah.
very much comic bookish. And then the other thing, the last word is familiar. And and it's because it felt very much like the first Doctor Strange movie, with the character development, the character dynamics, just the internal struggles that's happening. I don't feel like Doctor Strange is going through anything particularly new in this movie. Still like how to deal with his love of Christine and how to balance being a sorcerer and like all this other stuff. And on top of that, it felt familiar to Spider-Man No Way Home, because I felt like Doctor Strange, we watched Doctor Strange deal with a teenager in that movie, and it felt very, very, very familiar in this movie, watching him with America. So those are my 3 words. But Nessa, did you like the movie?
Okay. I have complicated feelings about the movie. So when I first walked out, I was just like, I don't know how to feel. I feel like it's a solid movie for what it is. But then I was just like, I was expecting it to be bigger than what it was. And I was expecting a lot more to come out of it. But I guess if I kind of let go of those expectations, I'm like, it's a good movie. It's a fun movie. It's a fun hang. So I guess all in all, I would say yes. I liked it.
I had the same exact thoughts.
Yeah.
When I left the movie, the first thing I said was, I'm not jumping to saying I liked it, which means that there's something that I need to identify here.
Yeah.
And what I was able to say within 20 minutes was like, in my head, I was like, the first Doctor Strange was better than this. Like, that's how I felt coming out the movie. That's how I felt coming out the movie, was like, the first Doctor Strange was better than this. And I said, wait, stop. Why do you feel that way? And I think it's because, and I'm not saying I still believe that. I don't still think that at this point in time. But what I was able to identify was the expectation bit. I was expecting this movie to give me one of 2 things, or I was really hoping they did. Either clearly identify who the big bad is that we're working towards, whether that's Kane or someone else, or clearly show me who the next big Avenger-esque group is going to be. Like, I feel like, and this is a commentary on like the greater MCU that I was going to say for later, but since we're talking about it now, I feel as if the MCU is just going off of vibes right now, and there isn't like one clear like direction that we are all on board and like, all right, this is what we're leading up to. I mean, the only other comparison is like by the end of Avengers, you knew that Thanos was going to be the big bad, right?
Yeah.
And even with like us knowing in phase 1 which superheroes they were focusing on, you can kind of tell that they were gearing up to the Avengers, right? Well, especially because Fury had already said, what do you know about the Avengers Initiative? Like, we knew that that's what he was building up towards, right? And so you get the buy-in of the crowd a lot sooner, because it's like, I want to see how this is going to play out. We don't have that yet. And the fact that I didn't get Loki in this movie, I just knew I was going to get Loki in this movie.
Bruh, I thought we were going to see Albino Vision.
I thought,
and I don't know how we didn't get him. I don't know how we didn't get him.
Where was he?
But I thought we was gonna get Albino Vision, and when he did not pop up by the end of the movie, I was just like, what did I sit here for 2 hours for? But
I felt like there were so many characters missing that are tangential to the multiverse that we've already been introduced to. And I think that's me personally, that's where my expectations were like let down. It's like, there are other characters out here roaming around that have something to do with the multiverse, and you purposely left them out. What is happening?
Yes. So
I say all that to say that I agree with you. The movie is good. It's a good hang. If you are into comic books, you're going to love this movie.
Yeah.
It feels like you're reading a comic book.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the MCU as a whole, and me personally being very, very tied into the overall storyline and how this is going to play out. I trust them, but I was just expecting a little bit more from this movie.
I think the tough thing about this too is because we had Loki, right? Because we have Wanda, and we had a whole series of her, 9 episodes of her, right? Going through this whole journey and everything. And the movie is called The Multiverse of Madness. I think we built up such high expectations and expected it to carry on what things that like Loki has set up. Or things, or like see more repercussions from like things like No Way Home, right? And
wait till we get to that.
And so it feels like the MCU was gearing us up to like, ooh, we're in the multiverse of madness. All of this is going to start to make sense and come together. And it felt very much like a contained, it's the multiverse of madness, but it felt like a contained Doctor Strange movie. And I think that was such the odd thing to like wrap my mind around. As I walked out of the theater, I was just like, well, where's Albino Vision? So we're not going to hear more about King. So there's no Loki. Wait a minute. So Wanda went through all of this, and then here's where we are now. Like, it was just, it just didn't fit all the way for me. So it's like, although it had elements that I loved and that I really liked, it just, the plot line itself did not do it for me.
Agree. And I don't want to belabor the point, but I was just sitting here just now thinking, like, you're right. It feels like a self-contained movie, but in the title and what happened in that movie would suggest that it should not have been a self-contained movie. And I'm trying to think of the other movies that came out in this phase. Black Widow, we only talked because that was technically like, further back. But you have Shang-Chi, Eternals, No Way Home, and this. Mm-hmm. And in some cases, like the other, like they all are self-contained movies, but like Eternals felt like it wasn't as self-contained as it should have been, almost, because you have a celestial sticking out of the ocean that no one's talked about yet since. Okay, I'm still on that. There's a celestial whose head is sticking out of the ocean somewhere on Earth on 616, right?
Right.
And no one's talked about it since it's popped up in any other movie or any other show.
Yeah.
What the heck? Okay. So like things like it's just the movies aren't talking to each other enough for me.
Okay, so let me pose this question, right? Because the MCU in a major way has trained us that these movies are supposed to talk to each other in a big way for the most part.
We know they're happening in the same universe, in the same world, right?
Can we not go back now to a place where it's just like, this should just be on its own?
No, because you know why? You know why? Because this is in DC, okay? This is not DC, this is the MCU. They're doing this on purpose to set themselves apart, right?
Yeah.
They literally have us hooked like we're addicts for the next piece of the story.
They do.
And so that we can put our own little puzzle together as they're giving us these little pieces. And it's like, you gave me pieces that don't touch, and I know that they're supposed to.
Like, just why are you floating next to each other? But I just
hate it. I don't like it. But anyways.
All right. So let me say this. All right.
The movie is good.
Yeah.
But just not what I was expecting.
Okay. So this movie is the first movie to be like a horror genre movie in the MCU. We've seen other kind of genre movies where it's like we've got the whole spy movie in like Winter Soldier and stuff.
Yeah.
The very like campy comedic Ragnarok, right? But this is the first time we've gotten horror. And you are not a big horror watcher.
I'm not.
So how did those horror elements play to you? How did you feel about it?
In the moment as I was watching, I was just like, this feels like a lot. Like that's how my brain like internalized it, because I'm not used to watching horror. I was like, that felt like a lot. Why is she crawling out of the mirror, the puddle like that? That doesn't okay, I guess. Like it just felt like extra to me. And
Yeah.
then in hindsight, I was like, oh no, I get it. Like, okay, yeah. Okay, yes, horror. It really clicked when, spoiler, Sinister Strange got like kicked out of the mansion and landed impaled on the fence.
Yeah.
As someone who has seen that happen to someone in person, I was just like, oh, I was not expecting
Yeah.
that. Like that's probably the goriest, most shocking death, probably aside from that. I mean, Thanos got his head chopped off, but you get what I'm saying. Like that
But
was.
even that wasn't super bloody. But
It
this
wasn't
movie was.
bloody, but this movie was. But even
Yeah.
but the spectacle
Yeah.
of seeing Doctor
Yeah.
Strange being impaled by a fence is just like, if you have kids, go watch this before you take the kids.
I sat next to a kid.
Ooh.
And I mean, I couldn't see her face or anything like throughout the movie, but I didn't necessarily hear her react much to some of the gore. Some of the gore she did, I think it was more like when Wanda was taking out the Illuminati, but
She took them out.
And we're gonna get to that. But otherwise, like, I don't think I really felt her. I felt like I was reacting way more because honestly, like, I sat there. I was not expecting this much horror.
Mm-hmm.
I was not expecting this much gore. I was shocked at the amount of murder that we witnessed.
She murked everybody.
And the amount of blood that was spilt. And I also have a few fundamental issues with that. But all in all, I love horror. If y'all have been watching, y'all know I'm into the horror thing. So the horror elements I love. So when she came out of the mirror, I was just like, oh, that's like that little girl coming out of the TV in the ring. Cool. I'm into it. When she was like fighting the Illuminati and like she beat them and she's like coming through the doors and like half her face was covered in, blood and I don't know, robot juice or whatever it was. I was just like, oh, this kind of looks like Carrie. And then like, when her red eyes are glowing and she's like just popping up and like surprising and stuff like that. Like I was into that. Now, Sam Raimi kind of has his own little style of horror where it's like the cameras in your face and like the actors reacting and stuff. Those parts I could have done without. But the actual like horror elements I was 100% into. I thought it fit the whole theme of the movie and everything.
It did.
And if you were going to do it anywhere, here was the place to kind of do it. And so I was into it. I was happy with those bits and pieces.
I'm not mad at it. I'm not saying. I think your point about if they were going to do it in any movie, this is the movie to do it is absolutely right.
Yeah. Also in this movie, we are introduced to a new concept that dreams are basically like windows into, they don't use the word variant in this movie, but into variant selves of you in other universes. And we've never heard this concept before. And I was listening to someone, they made the interesting connection of like when Tony told Pepper, they're like, oh, I had a dream that we had a daughter and her name was Morgan and, whatever, and kind of made that connection. I'm like, all right, that coincidentally works for y'all, but
I don't think dreams are mentioned anywhere else in the other movies either.
No, not at all.
They
not
got
really.
Lucky.
So I feel like we could have done without that. But how did you?
I liked it.
Did you?
I liked it.
Okay.
I liked it because there's no retconning. I don't really like retconning in general. Like, I won't have to go into that. I just don't like it generally. But like as soon as they started, I was like, wait, where did I hear dreaming before? And I was like, yo, I can't even think of another place where they've mentioned dreaming in it. I like it because it gives us a way to stay on 616 while still having access to the multiverse. What I don't want to, like, in this movie, we're in a different universe every 20 minutes. I don't want that to be the norm moving forward. Like as you know, when Loki and Kane come back into the story, we're going to be dealing with multiverses all over again.
Mhm.
I hope they continue that storyline, right? And so a piece of me is like, I don't want to have to keeping track of who is which variant from which universe. But if we stay on 616 and have the characters that we know and love be the ones to be the portal into these different places, that just feels more contained and like you know, we'll be more able to follow it, I think. So I just liked it. I liked it for that reason. I liked it because dreams are really interesting to me in my own personal life. I just like talking about dreams and stuff like that. And then it'd be cool to be like, what if that was real? Like it felt like something that if it was real would be really, really cool. Roll your eyes all you want. I don't care.
I guess.
But you know, when Wong is dreaming that he's falling or whatever it is, and he's like, oh no, you're really falling in another universe. He's like, cool.
I didn't like it at all. I felt
it.
like it was a cheap reach to like explain something. And I was just like, yeah, I could have done without it. Yeah, pass, hard pass, hard pass.
I like the dreams being a window to other universes. I don't really care for the dream walking.
I prefer the dream walking over the actual because it's like, oh, at least we could take some action and do some, you know what I mean? But all right. So as you mentioned, we do blast through a bunch of universes and land in a few of them. Some, like you said, you know, they turn into paint. There was one where like they kind of turn into these little block molecules and they look like they were being ripped apart.
Yeah.
And we even get to see a New York where it's like lushy green and flowery and stuff, right?
That's 838, yeah.
Yeah, Earth 838. And like there's all this wild technology and stuff like that. How did you feel? And we've also seen this in What If, in the Disney Plus TV show What If, when the Watcher and Ultimate Ultron are fighting, they're fighting and blasting through the multiverse and through different universes. So how did you feel about kind of more or less seeing this sequence again?
The sequence was cool. That was the first point of the movie where I was just like, this feels like a cartoon to me. And not just because part of that sequence was animated, but the way it was happening, the way it was shot, I was like, this feels like animated. Even the non-animated parts. It was fine. I didn't really have like a huge reaction to it. What I reacted to more was after that sequence, when America was like, you know, in most universes, the people don't pay for food, right? And I was like, that feels right.
It's like Earth 616 is get out.
And 838 apparently, because she had to pay for those pizza balls. But I was like, she's like, yeah, in most universes, food is a basic human right. You don't pay for it.
I was like, damn, throw in the agenda.
Right?
I love that though.
Yeah, that was great. Oh my goodness. If I was America, I'd just be hopping universes and like I'm going grocery shopping. I'll be back and just
to eat. 616 is get to, and that kind of reminds me of when in the first Doctor Strange movie when Strange and Wong, was it? No, I'm lying. It was Infinity War when Strange and Wong are walking in the sanctum, and Wong's like, oh, I could go for a bagel, and then Strange is like, do you have money? And he's like, no, I don't have any money. And I was just like, see, Earth is ghetto, man. America's got it right.
Yeah, it's like, you don't have any money, and then yeah, that just made me think of so there's a woman that I follow on Instagram who's been doing like Thick Girl in the Avengers. I forget her name. The one she did recently when she was talking about Tony but buying shawarma, and she's like, oh yeah, Tony, I'm a cash app. I'm not gonna cash app him. Like, why are you asking me for money? It's really just like, why is Tony not bankrolled? Asking? Right. Anyways, story for a different
time. But yeah. I think I had a bigger reaction to seeing the different universes. It was exciting to me, like seeing them punch through and like turn into all these different things. And then even when they turned into the cartoon, I think that's when I got the most amped up. I don't even know why, but it felt so cool. And I was just like, I'm loving this. I love the whole sequence of it. And then even when they land and it was like, and America was like, oh, do you feel sick? Like, are you okay? He's like, oh, I've been on journeys before. I'm fine. And then like he just turns around and starts yakking. I was like, oh, this is great. So I definitely enjoyed seeing the different universes. I hope we get to visit a few more, and I'm sure we will. And just kind of see what else the multiverse has to pretty much offer.
I hope that because we spent so much time on 838 specifically and with 838 Christine, that we have like that becomes a thing moving forward. Like maybe it's just like yes, I want to see more universes, but I would be totally fine too if we just spent a lot of time going back and forth like between those two universes.
You just sparked a thought. I'm trying to think if I should save it for later.
Say it now.
Okay. And it's also kind of gonna jump ahead for implications too. But so this is where I'm going to invoke my casual fangirl privilege. So some of this y'all are gonna have to look up on your own and figure it out. But everyone keeps saying that this is all leading up to Secret Wars, which is basically like the universes are going to be fighting each other, and Kang, or the universes are going to join together to fight Kang, or whatever it is, right? Look it up, figure it out. I don't know all the details, but at some point, there's also a point where everything kind of collapses on itself, and then the multiverse gets restarted. So I'm thinking if that kind of happens in the MCU and they restarted, but more on like Earth 838. So then bing, bang, boom, we have the mutants there already. We have the Fantastic Four there already. Or even if they just pick another Earth and do that kind of thing, since they've introduced us to all of these people already.
I mean, that feels plausible, definitely. Definitely. I mean, yeah, 838 has mutants because Professor X was there, so you know X-Men is around somewhere, right?
Right.
Fantastic Four. I mean, the thing is like she also, spoiler, killed off the leaders of both those two gangs. So
gang.
gang. She murdered them. So it's like I guess if they did I just don't know how they would do that with those two characters missing. Maybe they don't need the characters.
Yeah,
but you need Reed Richards, right? Like you might not need X, but like
we need Reed Richards.
You need Reed Richards, so
yeah. So that's why like in the middle of that thought, I was like, oh, maybe they might go to just another Earth. Maybe not.
Yeah,
may not
probably just another one.
Yeah, where the Illuminati hasn't been annihilated. Oh, and we will get to that as well. But I mean, we might as well start jumping into some of the major character arcs, right? Because we are reunited with very familiar characters, but also introduced to a major new one. But we will start with who is at the center of this movie, Doctor Strange, and his whole arc. And before we started recording, you said something very, very interesting, and I want you to share that with our audience about his arc. Okay, about his character development.
I kind of just set it off the cuff, and as I was saying, I was like, "Do I believe that?" But let's flesh this out right now. Then.
Let's flesh it out. Let's explore.
I feel as if Doctor Strange was dealing with the same internal tensions that he dealt with in his original movie. I think is what I was alluding to. So it didn't feel like Doctor Strange was doing anything new. It felt like more of the same from Doctor Strange specifically. He's still, he's still approaching problems the way he normally does. I mean, minus at the end when he's like, oh, believe in yourself, America. Like, fine. Like, that's a new development because he spent some time with another teenager in the last movie, realizing that he probably should have listened to him in the first place, right? Peter Parker. Anyways, outside of like the America thing, him with Christine, him with other sorcerers, like so much of it just felt like, okay, this is Strange being Strange. Like, where is the actual development of like him as a superhero? Now, I think people would suggest, oh, by the end of the movie, he realized that like He didn't have to hold the knife because he let America make the choice to use her powers herself. I'm fine, I guess, but like, I don't think that this movie led to that. I think that his experience with teenagers in general led to that. And I don't know, maybe it's a stretch. Maybe I'm just being nitpicky. I don't know, but that it just this movie did not feel like Doctor Strange went on any sort of like personal journey. Is how I'll end it there. I don't know if other people feel the same way, but that's how I kind of viewed it.
I actually agree with you. And even though, like you mentioned at the end, he's like, oh, believe in yourself, make your own choice, whatever. You got this kind of thing. But at the end of the day, like, he still chose to, just like all the other strangers, right? Still chose to use the Darkhold power. Now his outcome may have been different than the other strangers to a certain extent. But to me, I almost felt like the MCU was saying, like, this is who Strange is. And like, you might get some little nuances in there, and but this is who he fundamentally is. He is the guy who has to hold the knife and has to make the calls and make the decisions. And throughout the movie, so much, there's just so much, are you happy? And was there any other way? Is there anything else you could have done? And all this kind of stuff being put on him. And I felt like the MCU is telling us, this is who he is. Yes, he's a bit better than some of the other versions out there, but this is the guy. You know what I mean? He's not going to go on this huge arc like Steve Rogers does, or like how Tony does. I don't think we're ever going to see anything like that for him. And to me, that's okay. Because again, you have to think that he's had a whole career of being a surgeon, and that's what he's had to do his entire career. It's like, you have to make a call, and you have to believe in the call that you're making, because you got people's lives in your hands, right? And so to me, I just think that's the most we're gonna get from him.
And I think the MCU I think there's evidence of that by, in this movie, them telling us that Strange does not make it with Christine in any universe. So his fundamental, and I believe the reason why is because he has a fundamental, I don't want to call it a flaw, but the thing that makes him Doctor Strange is the same thing that keeps him from being with Christine, and that is consistent across the multiverses, across all of these movies. That core, we need to make a decision, and it needs to be the best decision, and we're going to run with it, and then this is what we're going to do. No, I know what's best because I understand the gravity of the situation. That is going to be the same regardless. And because of that, I felt like we got more, I'm used to the MCU movies taking me on some sort of character journey. And I think the one that they wanted us to go on, I didn't like, which is Wanda. We'll get to that in a second. But you would think it'd be Doctor Strange since it's his movie, right?
Yeah, so, but definitely not. Yeah, and that says a lot that he doesn't end up with Christine in any of these universes at all. And like, all I could think was like, he's a F-boy Steve. Like, that's all I could think. Because especially when he has the conversation with Christine where he's like, I love you. I've always loved you. I just couldn't be like, I was just afraid. I was like, sir, this lady, either while in med school or probably doing her residencies or whatever, went and bought you this multi-$1,000 watch, like however
20,000, I think it
like
is.
Something like that watch, expressed all of her love for you, all this stuff, and you still went and treated her like trash. And I was just like, and now you want to sit here and talk about, but I loved you. I've loved you through all the universes. I was like, boy, if you don't shut the hell up, I couldn't. I could not take it, and I could not handle it. I was just like, are we done with this portion of the film? Because I'm ready to move on. Like, I'm ready to see more things.
I mean, we'll see what happens with Cleo moving forward, because I think in the comic books, that's his actual girlfriend. Like, that's the
they get married. Yeah, that becomes
so his, he just needed to find someone who can take his crap, I guess.
I guess.
I know you're triggered right now. I'm trying to like not trigger you anymore.
I'm always constantly triggered, but yeah. So that was a part that bothered me. And then so throughout the movie, we do run into all these different strangers, right? We've got, I like to call him Ponytail Strange, but apparently he's listed as like Defender Strange. Sure. We get Zombie Strange, which is fun.
Not really a zombie, but yeah.
Kind of. Let me have it. Thanks.
I'll let you have it.
Sinister Strange. Who ends up playing not a big part, but of all the strangers that we see, you know, kind of has a lasting effect. And then also we have 838 Strange, who by the time we get to this universe is ding dong dead. And not for even the reasons that we actually really think, which was interesting in of itself. So I kind of want to start there with the 838 Strange. So we land on Earth 838 and they get to the sanctum. America and Doctor Strange get to the sanctum and they see this huge statue of Doctor Strange. And basically the inscription is something like he gave his life to save the world and defeat Thanos kind of thing, right? So I'm like, immediately, I'm like, oh, stop. Okay. So it was his sacrifice instead of Tony's. Awesome. That's cool. And then we get in there and we meet 838 Christine, and we also meet the Illuminati. So he's brought in front of the Illuminati, and within the Illuminati, we have Reed Richards, Professor X, Captain Marvel, who is played by Maria Rambeau. So that's Monica's mama. So instead of Carol Danvers becoming Captain Marvel, she does. Captain Carter and Mordo. Right? And like Mordo is the one to greet them.
And the dude who doesn't talk.
Yes. Oh crap, what's his name?
Keep talking, I'll look it up.
Casual fangirl privilege in vote. But the guy, I had to learn from other people that guy is actually from the show The Inhumans, and which is a generally like despised show. Nobody really likes it. It was canceled pretty quickly.
Oh, really?
So I think this was kind of their little redemption for that show. But yeah, so and the guy who doesn't talk, because when he does open his mouth, it's all these like huge sonic booms that come out. And so Strange is brought in front of this Illuminati because as we go through the movie, we see these different strangers, we actually basically start to realize and find out that it's really him that's like public enemy number one across the multiverse. Like he's always like effing ish up. So they bring him forward and they're like, we're gonna pass judgment on you. Like this is what's happening.
Basically.
And he's like, whoa, wait a minute, but didn't I save this universe? Like, what's up? And they're like, actually, what had happened was you used the Darkhold. You went to the dark side, basically, kind of came back, killed Thanos, but we had to kill you because you're corrupted, right? Kind of thing. And then Captain Carter, to me, the line that she delivers was kind of vicious, but I loved it. And Strange was like, so you lied to everyone? And she was basically like, well, the Earth needs heroes. And I was just like, oof. By any means necessary, the Earth needs heroes.
Black Bolt was the name of the dude. The
Black Bolt. There we go. Now we've got his name.
Yeah. Black Bolt. The Strange 838 Strange. I thought, I don't want to. Are we jumping into the Illuminati conversation yet, or no? Because
I guess we could throw it in there. Why not? We might as well. We're here.
I mean, you telling that story just illuminates. One of the things that I thought was interesting was that, like, based off of Professor X's projection of what had happened, it looks like it was only the Illuminati that took down Thanos.
Yeah.
Not like 50 million Avengers, like what happened on 616, right?
Yeah. So the events were slightly different than what happened.
Fine, right? Then they got murked by Wanda? You took out Thanos, and then in 0.5 seconds,
Say it
Almost
again.
all of you, 0.5 seconds. Almost all of you were killed by your own power, like killed in a way that exploited your power. And literally, like Mr. Fantastic died like after saying like 3 sentences.
Looking like spaghetti.
He's the smartest man in the universe, isn't he?
Yeah, or one of them. Yeah,
one of them. Top 5.
yeah, top 5 for sure.
He died. Professor X.
Like
Professor
King
X.
is literally his great grandson or something. Like,
right. I was just like,
but yeah, Professor X.
It didn't bother me, but it kind of bothered me because I was like, you put these people in this movie as fan service. One, I'm thankful for that. I'm always thankful for a little bit of fan service, right? John Krasinski.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Patrick Stewart.
Love it. Love seeing Captain Carter. Love seeing the actress who plays Maria Rambeau. Loved all of that. Did not love Mordo's dreads. I don't need that. What I don't like is that you gave it to me just to prove how strong Scarlet Witch is.
Yeah.
So you brought them here just to kill them off.
Yeah.
And that feels like instead of you giving me that, I would have rather an extra 20 minutes on you explaining to me how the Wanda we got at the end of WandaVision is the same Wanda in this movie.
Right.
Because that's not the same character to me.
I felt like they should have, and I get it, like leaks were happening and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But to me, they should have never put the Illuminati in the teasers, in the trailers, anything like that. Now, did it stop me from getting hyped when they popped up? No. But I feel like if you're going to bring them on to immediately die, you might as well just have kept that all under wraps and kept it a secret. Don't be sitting here getting us all hyped up and amped up like, oh, snap, they're really about to play like an important role in all of this. And then they don't, right? Professor, okay. Because now I'm...
Do it. X, yeah.
Okay. So let me say this, because like Professor X was the one that I was most hyped when he came out. We all knew Patrick Stewart was coming. We got it. I understood. But oh man, when he came out to that X-Men 97 theme, I was like, ooh, I was hyped in my seat. I was so excited. And then to have the caliber of actor that Patrick Stewart is, the iconic Professor X, and to have him come on and go out that sad, I was really upset because they all came on and did nothing. And to me, it's like, even him got into like Wanda's brain, right?
Yeah, which was cool to see. Really cool.
And we see, and he makes this whole thing like, oh, your alter ego Scarlet Witch has locked you in here, which unlocks another like facet to Scarlet Witch / Wanda and what's going on within her, that I was like, this is the story. Yeah. This should have been the story. Yep. This should have been the plot. And I was just like, dang, the least they could have let that man do was like loosen her from the rubble a little bit.
Or like flesh that out more. Like you said, that's what should have been the main storyline. Is if you put all of your character development in the villain of this story, but then you don't give us any of that journey.
Yeah.
We get none of the journey because you're expecting us to believe that the journey happened in WandaVision. Mm-hmm. But at the end of WandaVision, she realized that she fucked up. She was really sad about it. So what happened between then and the second scene of this movie where she's like, oh yeah, no, fuck that. I want my kids.
All right. We're gonna get to that because we gonna you know what? We're gonna skip over America a little bit. We're gonna go from Strange to Wanda.
You have to.
And then
you have to. Because Wanda is the main Wanda. How they set up Wanda, she should have been the main character of this movie. Yeah. She should have been the protagonist, not Strange. Yeah. Just the way stories generally work.
Like, it all revolved around Strange is what it was. But
it was from Strange's perspective, but it should have been Wanda's story.
Yeah.
If that makes
sense. Yeah. All right. Let's see. So it just, I didn't like that they brought them on and it never panned out to mean anything or be anything.
I would be less angry if John would have looked into the camera at least once.
And pull the gym real quick.
If he would have pulled the gym and he was just like,
it should have been something like Strange was like, I'm just trying to save the multiverse right now. And he would have just make the
right. Just if he would have did that, oh my, it would have been worth it, in my opinion. His casting would have been worth it. If they just gave us a look, but that would have been
right. And so also in 838, they bring back Mordo, right?
Yeah.
Who has been lost since 2016's Doctor Strange. We don't know what he was doing, but he ended the movie on a mission and just it never came back around. So, but basically they end up fighting. Well, you know, Strange kind of instigates the fight so that he can get out of his magical handcuffs and all that.
But say why Strange instigated the fight. He instigated the fight because he realized that Mordo was going to be a hater in every universe. So he used that to his advantage to be like, the Mordo in my universe really hated me.
Yeah.
He probably still hates me here too. Oh, so I bet you set up Doctor Strange in this universe getting killed because you want to be Sorcerer Supreme. And Mordo was like, yes.
He said, and I must say that, okay, so kind of jumping around, but this movie had a lot of CGI for me, honestly, more CGI than I really wanted to see. I think especially since we started off with that whole
scene,
one-eyed monster beast thing. So when we did get these grounded fights, like Mordo and Doctor Strange doing hand-to-hand combat, that was actually very exciting to me. And I really, really enjoyed that fight and enjoyed that battle. And I was like, I was happy to see them fight with minimal magic going on.
I was distracted. I was like, who taught Doctor Strange how to fight? When did he learn?
I guess at Comertage.
I just assume Mordo knows how to fight because he's a black dude, right? Like I didn't even think twice about Mordo.
He did learn at Comertage because Mordo was the one training him to use the weapons at Comertage. So he did learn. He was never fighting like that though.
No, I was like, who taught you
that? He was never fighting like that. But he did train and he did learn. So I was happy to see them bring some version of Mordo back. I kind of wish it was the 616 Mordo because I just want to know what he's been up to this whole time because he was like, there's too many sorcerers in this world. So I'm like, what have you been doing this whole time?
I want to know if he got snapped.
I feel like he probably did. And they're probably going to use that as something.
I think if he didn't, though, it'd be a more interesting story.
Yeah, it would.
Because he would blame Strange just like
everybody
Dr.
else.
West did. Yeah, he'd be like,
yeah,
if this is the problem with sorcerers, you think you know everything and you didn't have to do that, as evidenced by the fact that other worlds didn't have to go through that. Other universes didn't have to go through that, and they still beat Thanos. So there was more than 1 out of 14,605,000, whatever it was.
Right.
Like that's part of the story too, right? That's why that doctor asked up front, like, was that the only way? And Dr. Strange's like, yes, and then he finds out, no, it wasn't.
Yeah. Well, man.
No, it wasn't because he could have did what they wound up doing in 838, which was find the Book of Vishanti, and then
no, he used the Darkhold.
Right, but in order to get rid of Thanos, no, they wound up finding the Book of Vishanti. He used the Darkhold to try to get rid of Thanos, but I don't think it worked. Whatever he was trying to do, I
think it did. I took it as he got the Darkhold power. And that's what he used to kill Thanos. And like, as they're all circling around him, they're like, yeah, you did a good thing. That's cool. But now you're corrupted by the Darkhold. So we got to take you out. Like,
I didn't take it that way. And here's why. I thought, and now we're getting way off topic, but let's do this. I thought that he used the Darkhold to try to find a way to get rid of Thanos, got corrupted, and realized the error of his ways, which is why he sought out the Book of Vishanti, which is why he had that, like, he set it up that you can go get it. He had to do that before they took him out, right?
Maybe.
So I thought they used the Book of Vishanti, and as a group, they took out Thanos, and right after that, on Titan, they took him out. They had to use the Vishanti before they took him out because he set all that up.
I don't know, but I've only seen the movie once.
Fair, me too.
Forgive us, y'all.
Me too. Yeah, forgive us.
But that's not.
Anyway,
I recall.
Okay, so that aside, even if you don't use the Darkhold, you can still use the Book of Vishanti to get whatever it is you need. So that's always going to be an option to get rid of Thanos.
The issue, or my question is, do they know where the Book of Vishanti is on 616?
No, but they know it exists.
So,
I mean, I don't know if they don't know, if they know where it is or if they don't know where. Wong knew where the freaking Darkhold was like etched into the wall. He probably knows where the Vishanti is. You remember he got the book for only the secret, the sorceress like read?
Yeah. I'm just saying, maybe they didn't know what it was. I don't know. I want to believe that Strange told the truth and that was the only way.
I think he believed that was the only way. That's different than it actually being the only way.
Fair.
And I think that's part of the narrative. It's like, you need to know everything. You have to hold the night.
All right. So that was 838 Strange and his, and 616's Strange experience in that universe. So we also have another major Strange is Sinister Strange, three-eyed Raven Strange. And so with him, he caused an incursion. His whole universe is basically rotting away and imploding on itself. And he's basically been trying to seek out a version where he could be with Christine, but then he's killing all his other variants and all this kind of stuff. The Darkhold has definitely got a major hold on him. And so 616 Strange attempts to get the Darkhold from Sinister Strange in order to use it to save America. And this Strange is very, not the same, but very similar to What If's Doctor Strange story, in where he does cause the collapse of his universe because he keeps trying to save Christine when she's actually meant to die, and goes over to the dark side and all that kind of stuff. How did you feel about the portrayal of this sinister Strange on screen?
He felt kind of corny to me. I thought he would have been like more evil, if that makes sense. He didn't feel evil. He just felt, it's this thing is like, not all Slytherins are evil. Like, just because you are self-ambitious and like look out for yourself only doesn't mean that you're evil per se. That's coming from a Slytherin. So like, he didn't automatically try to kill 616 Strange. He saw Christine outside and didn't do anything to her. Like, if he was going to be evil, he would have like went for them. That's kind of how I feel. More. I was expecting him to be like evil, like going to like try to kill them, not like slowly like, how do I know it's really you? Although I did like them sharing
the story of his sister.
I was like, that gives a little bit more insight into like why he feels like he needs to have control all the time, because he's dealing with that trauma, right? That was really neat.
But again, wasn't really explored and there was no growth from it. So it felt like a throwaway story to me.
And there wasn't any time to let it breathe, you know? So there's that. So Sinister Strange was fine. That whole sequence, that's when the movie started feeling long to me.
I did not like the musical fight.
I wasn't a huge fan of it either.
I didn't like it.
It felt, and I can't believe I didn't hear anyone else say this, it felt like something out of Fantasia. Disney's Fantasia. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
Did it not feel that way?
It absolutely did.
I was sitting in the theater like, I am watching Fantasia right now. The same freaking, probably even the same classical musical numbers and everything. Like I thought a broom was going to come out of nowhere and start dancing into the screen. Like, that's how it felt to me.
Yes, I did not like it at all. And I mean, the only real cool part was like when that last little note from the harp comes through and then everything explodes. But I just like the way that explosion looks. But the actual, like, we're throwing notes at each other like I don't know, like.
It's like, pick up a knife. What are you doing?
It was just so I don't know. It was just that was too strange for me, I think is what it was.
You spent this whole movie actually murking people.
And they out here fighting.
You out here making musical notes into weapons when you can literally conjure something, I don't know, an actual weapon out of somewhere.
Yeah, I was not into
or
it.
Or pick up the table and throw it at him. Like you could just just use what's around you to actually, I don't know. Anyways, it felt borderline cheesy to me.
It did. It did. It did not do it for me. It felt corny. It felt cheesy. I was not into it, but it was wild watching him like fly out the window and get impaled. And then we jump back into the whole horror thing where Christine kind of walks up and is like looking, and then like the third eye opens, and it's just like, oh, that moment actually kind of caught me. But yeah, so I mean, all in all, I don't know, man. But basically, he gets a hold of the Darkhold at that point and is able to use that to go save America. And like you mentioned before, basically the journey ends with him finally putting some trust in someone else, right? Putting trust in this kid, like, hey, you've got the answers, you can do it. I'm not like the other strangers, I guess. And you know, she's able to do her thing and move forward. And so I mean,
we can move on.
Yeah. Because again, like I just feel like, dang, I wish there was more we could say about his actual character development, but there wasn't a lot of it. So we're gonna move on to Wanda, because we've got a lot to say about Wanda.
Yeah, I said some of it already, and I just want to start by saying that it does, and other people could feel differently, right? There's two things. One, the Wanda that we get in this movie does not feel like the Wanda we left off with in WandaVision, because the Wanda in WandaVision, we were led to believe had understood the error in her ways, had understood that she was going through immense grief, and that is what affected her. And it was wrong to take over a town just because she was grieving. That was wrong, right? She also realized she had a lot of power in that show, fine. But Wanda was still a hero, you know, a flawed hero, a hero that's made mistakes, who amongst us hasn't done that, but still a hero. In this movie, she's immediately the villain. And I think for the audience, there's no real character journey from being the hero who has made mistakes going straight into the villain. And I refuse to allow MCU or whoever, wherever they're pulling this information, this inspiration from, to say that just because she is a mother who wants to get back to her kids, that automatically makes her a villain. I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that for so many different reasons. Like, it's lazy. That is lazy writing for you to say. And here's the thing that really pissed me off. They had Wanda say it verbally as exposition. You don't understand what a mother would go, like, to the lengths a mother would go through to get to her kids. Yes, but also them ain't your kids. First. Second, why don't you just go to the other universe and kill that Wanda and then just go like chill there? Well, I guess that's what she was trying to do, right? Like go to the other universe. But in any event, she was able to realize that this was the only universe that she didn't have her kids. In every other universe, she does.
Yeah.
That's enough for you to kill 1 million people? No, I'm sorry. It's just not, it doesn't feel, you need to take me on the journey to how she got there. It's how I'll end it. Like, that is missing from this story. And I would have rather gotten 20 minutes up front of us watching Wanda get deeper and deeper and deeper into the Darkhold, or her grief just getting, you know, like she thought she was over it, but her grief, give me a little bit of her grieving vision too, still. Like, give me, and her brother, like, give me all of that again. And scale it in order for me to believe that now she's completely off her rocker and like this is what she's fixated on. Without that, it's a cheap story about how a woman can't control her emotions, and she goes off the deep end and she kills a bunch of people just because she wants to get to her kids. Like, it's not. I could rant forever, but I'm gonna stop there.
So for me, it was very Mad Queen Daenerys Targaryen kind of storyline, where it was just like she had lost, and then somewhere we jump, and then it's like, I'm gonna kill all these people. And it was just like, wait, we're missing a few beats here. Also, so that was my fundamental problem with the movie, is that we drove this plot around Wanda now becoming the villain because she wants to save her children and all this stuff. Like you said, at the end of WandaVision, she realizes that she was wrong and all that stuff. So to me, she's still pretty much thinking somewhat logically, right? So it still should have sunk in her brain, like, I created these children. Yes, they felt real. Yes, they seemed real, but I created these children. Also, once again, I'm going to invoke casual fangirl privilege because I don't know the full story. Don't quote me on this stuff. But from what I understand from some of the comics is that, yes, she creates this whole world with Vision, creates her children, but the children are somehow like attached to Mephisto or whatever, or like parts of Mephisto. So
yeah, I listened to that earlier today.
Yeah, so yes, the kids are out there, but they're like some sort of part of Mephisto and that kind of thing. And to me, not saying that they needed to bring in Mephisto and all that stuff, but to me, that something along those lines could have been a better driving force than I'm going to possess and potentially kill the 838 version of myself so I can raise the 838 version of my kids. Because at the end of the day, those ain't her kids, right? So if she was going on a journey or like trying to take America's power so she can go on a journey to go through all these universes to try to find those version of her kids, I could have kind of rocked with it. And then maybe somewhere along the way, she gets so corrupted by the Darkhold that she's like, whether I find my kids or not, I realize I can rule all of this. I'm here for someone who wants to be a villain just to rule. Like, you realizing that, yo, can't nobody stop me. Why not run all of this? I'm here for that kind of story too. Like, if you want to make her a villain, cool, make her a villain. But like you said, making it about she's losing her mind because she don't have her children anymore or whatever, like that just, it didn't do it for me. It didn't do it for me.
To your point, it probably would have been a slightly more interesting, maybe less nuanced, but believable if she was just like, I'm the most powerful being on earth and everyone thinks I'm a villain anyway. So
right. I've lost everything. I have nothing. So you know what? I'm just gonna rule all this stuff.
So not for nothing, WandaVision is her villain origin story, right?
Yeah.
Fine.
I think we had this conversation at the end. I was like, she's a villain. Like, she's horrible. Why is Monica Rambeau in here acting like, oh, but she's forgiven because she let everyone go? I'm like,
right, but that's the thing, is what I'm saying is that because that happened, it suggests that the show runners, whoever, wanted us to still accept Wanda as being a hero at the end of that show,
or potentially being a
hero, you know, some level of redemption, right? If you give a character some redemption, like Loki, they're not a total villain, right? But then you start this movie with Wanda being more of a villain than Loki ever was, which is wild to me.
She was murking people.
And Loki killed plenty of people in the Battle of New York.
And trying to murder a child.
Proactively trying to murder a child. A mutant, but a child.
Wild to me. Oh man. It was too much.
It's not good. It's not good. Like I said, like this movie should have been Wanda's story. I mean, even I guess if there was a way to tell it from Doctor Strange's point of view, so that it was still Doctor Strange, and then I don't know, whatever. It's they in my opinion, they made a, you know, what do I know? I'm not a
right. But then again, also
writer or anything like that.
So we're gonna also mention like how Professor X gets into her head and realizes like the inner Wanda Maximoff is trapped in there, right? But like he doesn't get her out. Nothing happens with that. And then by the end of the movie, America shows her the 838 kids, right? And the kids like see her as the Scarlet Witch, as this monster who's attacking their mom and all this stuff. And then suddenly Wanda's like, oh my gosh, I'm a villain. I'm horrible. I need to kill myself. And I was just like, what? Because, you know, and we said it before, give us that story. Her struggling with the Wanda on the inside and the Scarlet Witch and Darkhold taking over and all of that kind of stuff.
We interpreted that scene a little bit differently.
Did
the
we?
Scene where Professor X is in her brain.
What did you?
I interpreted that as that we were looking at 838 Wanda, not an internal Wanda, because she was in 838 Wanda's body. That's how I interpreted it.
Okay.
But I
okay, well, let's rewrite the movie, and that's what it should have been.
That's what it should have been. That's what it should have. You're right. You are absolutely right. That's what it should have been.
You're probably right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It probably was.
I think it was 838 Wanda, same clothes and everything.
Okay.
So that's.
Oh yeah. Okay, I didn't catch. Yeah.
That. Which is why when we circle back at the end when Tommy and the other one.
Right.
What thing one and thing two, whatever you want to call them, right? Their names, the sons, the twins. When the twins were like looking at Scarlet Witch and be like, "Oh my God, we're so scared." 838 Wanda was able to get up and be like it's like she understood where, and I think it's because she was in the mind and like all that stuff.
Oh, you smart.
I be trying.
You observant.
I be trying to connect dots and stuff, you know. But yeah. I like where you took it. I like where you took it because that is a Professor X thing to do.
Yeah.
Is to go into someone's psyche and be able to visualize the two forces battling within, right? Scarlet Witch has Wanda Maximoff in her, right? But that's the story they should have told.
Yeah. And even in other mutant stories, like we've seen Professor X go into like people's minds, especially like someone like Jean Grey, and like lock up certain parts of their mind so that their powers don't get too out of control. So I'm just like, man, when he could not succeed with her, it was very it was frustrating.
When you just said that, it made me think of, and quick tangent, real quick, we'll talk about this on another pod, the Harley Quinn show. Did you see the episode?
Oh yeah.
Like had the mental breakdown and they were like in her museum of a mind and everything. Like that's the type of stuff that, imagine that, but like Scarlet Witch and Wanda.
Right. Exactly. So I mean, I think we're kind of both on the same page where we feel like there's a disconnect between what happens in WandaVision and where we are at the end of it, and then who we're seeing in this movie. We do not like this whole trope of woman gone mad kind of thing.
Without a clear, they did the same thing to Danny.
They did
in Game of Thrones, and it's like if you would have just given me
a
5-minute montage, you just need to remind the audience of all the bullshit these women went through, so that it doesn't feel so jarring. Like to expect the audience, just give me give me Scarlet Witch's face, and like give me the voiceover of Vision saying, "Well, what is grief but not love persevering?" just give me some of that stuff. Give me Vision with the turtleneck and the do-rag, like just talking to her,
trying to calm her down, bring her back to reality.
Like give me pieces of her trying to hold on to reality, but to remember what she had went through. Just give me anything to tie it back to, oh no, this is the Wanda that went through all that. Even though she went through all that, she's still doing this because X, Y, Z. With
all that being said, though, I did enjoy watching her powers expand, and I did enjoy seeing it come to screen. Although, once again, some of those fight scenes, I was just like, some of the fight scenes reminded me of the finale of WandaVision when she's fighting Agatha, and I'm
Oh
just
yeah, that felt
like,
real corny.
I was like, I could do without this.
Mhm.
So there were certain parts where it felt that way, but all in all, again, like I'm here to watch Wanda scale up. I thought that was cool. I didn't have a problem with her being the villain. I thought she was the villain since the end of WandaVision.
Mhm.
So I didn't have a problem with that. I had a problem with the motivation. I had a problem with
Yeah.
the story. I had a problem with the way they were trying to flesh it out. That did not
Yeah.
work for me.
And then it's like, we know she's not dead.
Yeah, she
We know
ain't.
she's not dead. Because the first second I thought Wong died. I was like, that feels right. Kill him.
First of all, okay, let's get to this nitpick. Because Wong should be limping. Wong should have a broken arm. Wong should not be walking like a normal person. Yes, you're a sorcerer supreme, cool beans, but that does not make you like a god. Like you're still a man with sorcerer supreme powers. The way he done fell off all them cliffs, like he fell off multiple cliffs, got blasted in the face, all these things. I was just like, come on now. It was just, I just wanted to get that out. That bothered me a lot. But yeah, so I don't, Wanda's not dead. I wouldn't be surprised if she comes back in the next movie and it's like, oh, the Scarlet Witch is dead. And it's me, Wanda Maximoff again, and I'm the good guy type of vibe. But
No, because she used the Darkhold. And if Strange is stuck with the eye on his forehead, then Wanda got some stuff stuck in her too.
yeah, he's got the eye on his forehead, but it, at least the way they left off, it made it seem like he good. He's just got a third eye on his forehead.
That's weird. That's not good. Not good.
So I feel like with the actual Darkholds being gone, like there still might be some remnants of that dark power in her, but I don't think it's going to be, I'm out here trying to murder children and slaughter my variant selves and stuff.
And so and then we're done. She spent all of 3 days with those kids, and she was killing so many people.
Not the point.
It's 3 days in WandaVision. She was
Those
with the
are
little
babies.
with those little boys. She spent more time with Vision. She spent even more time with her own freaking brother. She ain't no tears for Pietro in this. Vision was mentioned once when Strange mentioned him. Oh, Vision had his theories about the multiverse or whatever.
So weird.
And I was just
So
3 days. 3 days. Come on.
Listen, movie's got a movie. I don't know.
Speaking of, let's move on, just
Yeah.
as if it was a movie, and try to hit America and Christine real quick.
Yeah. So we are introduced to a new character, America Chavez. We previously explained her powers, and she is on the run from Wanda, trying to figure out, this young girl, teenager, trying to figure out what her powers are. We do learn some of her backstory, which is she seems to have been born with her powers. And they developed when she became afraid of a bee sting, which gave me Bridgerton vibes. So a bee was buzzing near her. She got freaked out, opened up a portal to another universe. Her mothers get sucked in to it and are basically lost somewhere in the multiverse. And so the only time that her powers tend to appear is when she's extremely afraid. And she has not managed to figure out how to use them yet. First nitpick, and I don't know, but it feels odd to me that she has not figured out how to use her powers. We don't know how she meets Ponytail Defender Strange, but it feels like they've known each other for some time because they're out here speaking Spanish to each other and all this, that, and the third. So it feels like they've known each other at least for, it could have been a short period of time, but they seem familiar. In my perspective, they seem familiar with each other. So it's interesting that if she was with him, that he wasn't able to teach her how to use her powers. Again, I guess depending on how long they've been together, who knows? But it just felt like in all of this time, you haven't figured it out.
I mean, look how long she was with 616 Strange. It could have been the same thing.
No, because she was with 616 Strange for 2 days and he was like, believe in yourself. And she was like, I got this.
Yeah.
So it was just like.
But the other Doctor Strange wouldn't do that because he wanted the power for himself.
I don't think it's that he wanted the power for himself. It's just in that last moment, it was just like the greater good, like your sacrifice in the grand scheme of things is going to be for the greater good of the multiverse. I don't think he was like plotting on her powers the whole time and just wouldn't let her control it. Because if she had control over it, she could have escaped that monster on her own way faster.
Which is why he didn't tell her how to control it.
Nah, I don't know that.
Okay, that's fair. I don't know. I don't believe it either. I'm just talking. I don't know. I don't care. I don't know.
But it was just thoughts that I had in my brain, like as the movie was going along and stuff. But anywho'sville, she's a sassy, witty teenager with all her quips and everything through the movie. And once again, we're seeing a young teenager bouncing off of old Doctor Strange and stuff, which also is kind of like Hawkeye and
Kate,
kind of thing, which they seem to like to be doing lately, which is like,
I mean, they're setting up Young Avengers, right? So
they are, yeah, they pretty much are.
So you need those dynamics.
Exactly. So we learn about her backstory. She basically is there to warm Doctor Strange's heart and stuff, I guess.
I mean, yes, but there's also this added piece of like, there's a point in the movie where Doctor Strange's like, well, have you met your other selves and other, no one, why aren't they using variant? I hate that. But he's basically like, have you met your other variants, like your counterparts in other universes? And she's like, I'm the only one in all the universes. Like, I am the only one. And I've been saying this throughout this episode so far, that she's a mutant. She has to be a mutant, right? And that's the only thing that makes sense, I would think. And I think that is something underrated that is going to set up maybe mutants, like will be part of the setup for mutants coming into the MCU potentially, because that's what she is.
Essentially, yeah.
She's not she's training to be a sorcerer, but people aren't born sorcerers. They learn it. People are born witches in Wanda's case, but she's not that. So she's born with this power.
Right. So the question is Wanda a mutant as well? Because in WandaVision, when we get the flashback,
Agatha said that she was born with the
apparently it was her who stopped the bomb from exploding in their home, and she saved her and Pietro.
I mean, in the comic books, they're Magneto's kids.
They are, exactly,
mutants, right? So
exactly. So, but I mean, we didn't get that until we got to WandaVision, which is way past Ultron. So seems like the MCU is bringing it back around. But yeah, I mean, essentially, that is what America is for the most part. How do you feel about being with this new character, her introduction to our MCU family?
I thought it was fine. I think that in the remember, in the original order of everything, this movie was supposed to come before Far From No Way Home. That would have felt better to me, I think. Again, with the familiarity, this felt almost too close to No Way Home. I just came off of Doctor Strange being with a teenager and having that teenager be responsible for the fate of the universe or universes, right? It's the same thing.
Right.
So I think if I would have gotten this first, I would have been able to enjoy it more, because it'll be the first time I'm experiencing it. And then when it got to No Way Home, that would have felt, like the whole point of Peter Parker, now we're talking about Spider-Man, is that he's the hometown hero, right? Like, he deals with on the street stuff. No Way Home felt very, like, way larger than that because of the multiversal aspect of it. And I think it's because it's our first time in a movie setting dealing with the multiverse. If that was switched, then you would have had America being properly introduced and having her be like, the multiverse is like her thing. And then Peter, it would have felt like your regular neighborhood Spider-Man story. So I say that to say that America's great. I just wish I would have gotten her before No Way Home.
Fair. I thought her powers would look cheesier than they did on screen, and I'm happy for her for that. Because when I was kind of like looking at some of the, upcoming stuff about the movie, and I was trying to figure out like who is this America Chavez character and stuff like that. They mentioned like, oh, she opens up star-shaped portals to the mother, and I was just like, that's gonna look corny on screen. That's gonna look horrible. And I'm glad that they proved me wrong. And it looked cool. It looked cool. And I didn't have a problem with it. So I was fine with it. I like her personality. And then again, okay, damn.
Uh-oh.
I want to say I like her personality, but now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, it's literally Kate and Peter's personality. Like all these kids have the same personality to me.
I mean, they're part of the same generation. I mean, is that really abnormal from real life?
But then, because it's like, you look at somebody who's like, if we are going back to like Spider-Man, then you have someone who's like MJ, right? Mm-hmm. I wouldn't mind seeing like a gloomy, like, they don't have to be gloomy, but like, I just want to see different kind of personalities popping through. Like, I love how on Teen Titans, like Raven is that kind of dark one and stuff. And then emo. Right, emo. Cyborg's like the intellectual, Beast Boy is the
when you have
comedic one. When
you have the Goblin chasing after you, when you have the tracksuit mafia chasing after you, when you have a big Kraken chasing after you, like, you need a certain level of spunk to survive those things. And I think
I get that.
Yeah.
I think I'm thinking though, when they do the Young Avengers and they all come together and watching those personalities next to each other.
What you're picking up on we got this, let's go. Like that's the through line between them. But I can totally see, I mean, Peter Parker wouldn't be part of the Young Avengers, but I mean, Kate would annoy the hell out of me. Like if I was America, I'd be like, can you shut up?
Yeah.
I think that there'll definitely be some friction there, some tension that'll be interesting to watch. But I am picking up what you're putting down on just like, yeah, y'all act alike. Can y'all act different?
Right. That's just, just my thoughts. But all in all, I'm happy to see America here. We've got a Latina superhero.
Yeah, I'm here for the Spanish.
With gay parents, so why not? Yes. And I was very shocked too. The movie opens with them speaking in Spanish. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, ooh, wait a minute, subtitles. Yes.
Yep. And Wong knows how to speak Spanish, which is amazing.
That scene was funny though.
He's like, he doesn't know how to speak Spanish.
Do you Spanish, bro? Like, y'all speak Spanish?
Yeah.
I was like,
there's another part of that scene that I'm saving for like nitpicks, but
ooh, okay, all right, we'll get there. Yeah. I mean, that's all I got on America, honestly.
Yeah, same. So let's just touch on Christine real quick, like super quick.
Because I mean, that's
So Christine had more to do in this movie than ever before. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't all that much. So Christine. So I mean, okay. So in her credit, Christine A38 Christine is like top researcher at the Baxter Laboratory, Baxter Lab, yeah, which is supposed to be Reed Richards' lab, right? Mm-hmm. Fantastic Four lab, and she's super smart. Like she's the one that's numbered all the universes. She understands what's going on right now. At least when it comes to like the multiversal stuff that's happening. She was even able to understand that the injuries, that Doctor Strange's injuries, his hand injuries, are different from universe to universe. Things like that were really, really cool. She tries to help 616 Strange save America and like block America from Wanda, 616 Wanda. That obviously doesn't happen. Wanda gets her hand on America, and while Wanda's off trying to steal America's powers, A38 Christine accompanies 616 Strange to the Sinister Strange universe, and she's like helping him dreamwalk into the 616 and doing all the other stuff, right? There was one part of this sequence, two things. One, she was able to remind Strange when he was being attacked by all those demons, like, you're a sorcerer, you know magic, use it. basically is what she said. She's like, are you a witch or not? Like, that's basically what she did to Doctor Strange.
Do magic.
You can do magic. Like, just do it. Basically, she, pulled a Hermione and was like, you're a wizard. Like, can you just do some magic? So that was cool of her to be like, you should be able to do this. Then there was this other part where he's still being attacked, and she recognizes a relic or an item of some sort in Sinister Strange's study, and then like uses it to help save Strange, and that bothered me.
Okay.
Go.
Why did it bother?
It bothered me because, like, my initial reaction was like, why does she know to use that? And then I was like, okay, well, 838 Christine is probably more versed in all of these things, but also don't do that.
That's a fair point. So now that relic was in the original Doctor Strange. And it's when he gets attacked by Dormammu's henchman, the guy with like the black around his eyes. I can't remember his name, but he pulls it out and he's just like, doesn't know what to do with it. Like, has no idea how it works. And mind you, he's already kind of like training, and he's reading through all the books and stealing books behind Wanda's back and all that stuff. And he doesn't know how to use it. So then here comes Christine, no sorcery powers, is just like, boom, I got this. Like, and it was just like, okay, sure. Understandable, not really. But yeah, so I loved seeing this version of Christine. I was happy that they finally gave her more to do, way more than just kind of being
the love interest.
Strange's love interest that doesn't even really get any screen time and all that good stuff. And again, though, they do all of that, I still feel like it doesn't do much for Strange's character in any kind of way. It's just things happening. I felt like a lot of this movie was just things happening. And I didn't love all of the things that were happening. But so yeah, I mean, that's all I got for Christine, honestly.
Yeah, I think the last thing I'll say about Christine was it was nice to get some level of closure between them. So like we can stop using Christine as a motivator for things, or like the person who is helping Strange keep track of who he is, which is pretty much how she's been used. She's the one that's always like, this is your problem, this is your problem, this is your problem, right? She's the person that's been calling him out on his shit, which fine, but like if you're not going to give her more to do, it's like,
it's annoying to watch.
Well, I guess Pepper does that for Tony too, doesn't she? That's probably why she annoys me too. Anyways.
Right. But at least they let Pepper like inherit the company and kind of do the thing. They try to give her like a few little action sequences here and there. They freaking gave her a suit that somehow she knew how to operate completely, but whatever.
They also turned her into like an exploding person in Iron Man 3.
I tried to forget that.
No, I won't let you.
I guess.
No, I won't let you. Will not let you forget it.
All right.
Anyway, so yeah, that's Christine.
Okay. Moving on to some of these cameos that we get, and I mean, honestly, the only cameos we really care about was the Illuminati, who went out in disgrace in this movie, and I wish they would have done better. But it was great to see them on screen. I wish we didn't lose them so quickly. I think you made a great point by saying it's like they brought them in to show how strong Wanda is.
That's exactly why they brought them in. There's no other reason.
Right.
Fan service, and for that. They was like, okay, we'll give it to them, and it'll help us show how strong Scarlet Witch is.
Yeah. I love seeing Captain Carter. When she delivered the "I can do this all day," like I was hyped. I'm not gonna lie. I
want to know where Steve Rogers is in this universe.
I'm going to assume that it happened the way it happened in What If. But then the question would be if he was like the Iron Giant thing, whatever. That probably sounds like a better word. I know.
No. Ironmonger was Obadiah Stane's. Johnny.
Impressive.
Impressive.
I mean, whatever he was could be dead at this point because he stayed human, so he could be dead.
I mean,
But
yeah, but at the end of What If, he was still alive.
oh yeah. So it could have been loosely on What If, and then some other thing happened. Who knows?
I want to know what happened to Steve and Bucky.
You asking for a lot.
I know.
Now you asking for a whole spinoff in A38.
I mean, it's not gonna happen because they cut her in half. So
They did, which is rough stuff. But is also what happened to Captain America in the zombie What If episode.
oh, is it?
Yeah, he gets chopped in half with his shield.
He does. I mean, we also saw someone else get beat up by a shield with the shield. Did he cut off his head with the shield or just like beat him silly?
I think he caved his head in, more or less. It might have came off. I can't remember.
We're talking about
episode 5 of, I think it was, or 4, maybe 4.
4, episode
Falcon
4.
went to Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Falcon and Winter Soldier, when U.S. agent, who I call Cap and Cap, used the shield to whoop somebody's ass. Anyways, yeah. Being Captain Carter was cool. I liked her with the longer hair.
Yeah. And then when it seemed like Captain Marvel was defeated for a while, I was in the theater like, she better not be dead. She is Captain Marvel. She is literally supposed to be one of the strongest beings in the MCU. Like, that
didn't see her body.
And then, no, I mean, there was a part where it came down to just her. And first of all, when Blue Bolt, whatever his name is, when he explodes, I was like, oh, that got me. But so then when it came down to just Carter and Captain Marvel, there was a point where Wanda kind of flings her somewhere across and she goes through a wall, and then she's just fighting Captain Carter. But then Captain Marvel comes back. So when she got flung out, I was like, she better not be dead. Like, that don't even make no sense. So when she came back, I was like, oh, all right, cool. She about to put the beat down on her. Not quite. And in 2 seconds, she was dead. So it was just.
But is she dead?
I took it as she was, because she kind of did this whole hand thing, and then the hand went limp. So I was like, I guess. Here's
my take. If Scarlet is still alive after dropping a temple on her, then Captain Marvel is still alive after having that statue fall on her.
But movies are gonna movie, and they're effing with the power scales, so they're gonna. That's a good point.
They got to take people out. They got to take.
Even though they really should be on similar levels and stuff, but movies got a movie, you know.
Marvel movies are supposed to Marvel movie, which means it's like the logic is supposed to make sense. But I hear you. Yes, movies got a movie.
But I think we've said everything pretty much about the cameos. Implications for the MCU moving forward.
I mean, we still don't have a big bad. We still don't even have like the team. Like I mentioned at the top, what I was expecting from this movie was, having more clarity about who the big bad villain is going to be for the next couple of phases that we're building towards, or who is the team of superheroes that's going to be the people that have to navigate whatever the big bad is going to be. And at this point, we've been introduced to so many new characters. Shang-Chi and her name was Kate. What was her name in that movie? Awkwafina's name in the movie. Katie, right?
I think it was Katie. Yeah.
Kate. A lot of Kate's happened floating around like that. Sure. So you got Shang-Chi and his sidekick, I guess, and Kate. You have the Eternals, and the Eternals that are on Earth are like not even the interesting ones, which bothers me. So that's that. Then you have what is happening with Spider-Man? Is he still Spider-Man? Do people know who he is? Do he not? Like that.
So Strange knows who he is because he calls him by name.
He's not supposed to. That was the nitpick.
Did the editors miss that?
It distracted me to no end in the movie. Like I'm watching the movie, and every time there was a quiet moment, I was like, that's not right. That's not right. Because what do you know about the multiverse? Oh, we had a little thing with Spider-Man happen not too long ago. okay, help me understand this. He, at the end of that movie, he said the world would not. Okay, let me back up. No one knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. That is the thing, right?
Yeah.
So the question is, how does Peter Parker / Spider-Man is the one that did all that mess? So I guess Doctor Strange can say Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But if you don't have a reason, he doesn't. But in his brain, how is he justifying Spider-Man causing all of that? Is the question.
Fair. Because a lot of it is Peter Parker coming to Doctor Strange.
It's all Peter Parker coming to Doctor Strange. That happened because Peter Parker and his friends didn't get into MIT, not because Spider-Man did X, Y, and Z.
Unless it's just a situation where it's all blurry until all of a sudden here's Spider-Man and here's all these other people trying to come through the multiverse and he has to come in.
Does Doctor Strange feel like this type of person who'd be like, I don't remember why Spider-Man did that, but I know he did it. Like I feel like he would look into it.
Because in the comics, they describe where it's something like people just don't care. Like it's a cloudy memory and people just don't care. They're not aware of it. They don't focus too much of it. They gloss over it.
I'm okay with regular people doing that. I'm not okay with Doctor Strange doing that.
I mean, it was his spell, It's probably super strong. I don't know.
The Doctor Strange I know in all these universes who need to hold the knife would be like, why can't I remember that?
Yeah. Well, but anyways. I agree. It's hard to, if you are not, and I guess maybe this is part of the brilliance of the MCU. The MCU has built such a machine that they know people are going to go seek out what's coming next. Mm-hmm. It's the reason why I've even heard of Secret Wars, Secret Invasion, all that good stuff. I had to go look up who Clea is. I had to go and ask other comic booky friends, who is this girl? They know that their soldiers are going to march out there and do the work for them. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, when you're thinking about the casual fan, it's hard to follow. Because it's like...
That's the question. It's like, is the MCU purposely giving us homework now?
Oh,
that's the question. It feels like it. It feels like they're expecting us to go out and find these things, which is not awful, but
right.
That's not the viewing experience that the non-comic book enthusiast is used to. You should theoretically be able to plop into any Marvel movie and watch it start to finish and still get an experience without having any of the backstories. My aunt, who is over 50, went and watched Endgame. Nothing before it. She was like, I'm gonna go watch Endgame. And I was just like, cool. But I didn't realize until after she saw it that she didn't really she maybe saw one or two movies before then.
But did she enjoy the film as is?
She still cried at the end. She was just like, that was great. She loved it. And I was just like, that is the MCU magic, that you can sit down in a movie, not have the 22 movies that came before it and still get something out of it. Yeah. And it's starting to feel like you can't do that anymore.
It's getting harder and harder. It's getting harder and harder. You're having to look up who these people are. Because at least at the end of Eternals, I forget his character's name now, but when Harry Styles' character pops up, there's a whole introduction for him, right? He has his little sidekick who, I think it's like Star Fox or something like that.
Star Fox,
I could be wrong.
Sounds right.
But he has like this whole little sidekick who does this whole intro for him. And by the end of the movie, even if you don't know who the character is per se, you got a name. Shorty pops up and he's like, you caused an incursion. We need to save this. Slashes a hole in reality. And it looks like the dark dimension where Dormammu is.
It was.
Right. And then and she's like, come on, let's go. And he's like, come on, vamonos. And they're on their way. And it's like, the movie ended, and out loud, I was like, who is that? And I was hoping somebody would answer me. Because I've been in situations like that in movies where I'll just be like, who they? At the end of Eternals, when you hear that voice at the end, I was like, who is that? Somebody was like, it's Blade. I was like, awesome, thank you. Nobody had an answer in the theater. Nobody had an answer in the theater.
So,
I had to go home and go on the Google and then be like, who is this?
I Googled it while the credits were rolling. I did.
Yeah.
That's what I used that time for. Yeah, she's Clea and she's Dormammu's niece.
Yeah, apparently. I don't know if they're going to do that in the MCU.
I don't know. Who knows?
Because, yeah, they also changed the depiction of Dormammu from the comics to MCU. It'd be weird to make someone who looks like her be his niece. But,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So, yeah, so it word in the multiverse is we're leading up to Secret Wars. Universes are going to collide. People are going to come together to essentially fight King. Dr. Doom might show up. I don't know. Galactus is doing what? We've still got the Eternals out there. Meh. I don't know. The 10 rings are floating around and they signal to something, but we don't know what they signal to.
The 10
so we're
bracelets.
Still here.
The 10 bracelets. Their bracelets.
The bangles?
The 10 bangles. The 10 bangles. You still got the Guardians running around with Thor. Who knows what they're getting up to?
Right.
Who else is still out there? Loki, where is he? Don't know. Where is he? And is he bringing Owen Wilson with him? Is what I want to know, because I need to. Where's Sylvie? Where's that chick? Where'd she go? There's a lot of things happening. Where's the new Captain America? Huh? Where's Bucky? Is he over in Wakanda with a black girlfriend? Like, what is happening? Where are all these people that we have been introduced to in the last year and a half? And how is all this going to come into play? And yes, I'm being impatient. I know MCU is going to land it. I have complete faith that they will stick the landing, because they did it immaculately with the Infinity Saga. But I'm being impatient and I want to know now, now.
Yeah. I mean, it took them, what was it, like 12 years to get through the whole Infinity Saga, I guess? Or was it more than that?
It was Iron Man came out 2008. Endgame, I think, was 2018, wasn't it? 2019. 2019 was
so Endgame. 11 years to get through Infinity Saga. We're in year what of phase 4?
Yeah, but they weren't coming out with 5 movies in a year then.
Ooh, good point. And TV shows.
All the TV shows. I haven't even started Moon Knight yet. Gotta blow through that in the next week. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot happening. A lot of new characters. I totally forgot we're gonna get Blade too.
We're gonna get Blade.
And then Morbius just came out, which we won't talk. I haven't seen it, so at some point we'll talk about that. And then isn't Jon Snow gonna get his own like spin-off thing too?
Yep.
Was he the Dark Knight? Dark
something. One of them.
Not Moon Knight. Dark Knight, Nightwing.
Girl, I don't know. Yes, but he's something. But anywho, so
Black Knight.
It seems like there's a lot to come. Who knows? At this point, I'm just gonna sit back and wait and see what happens.
No, I refuse. Because I mean, yes, I don't have a choice. But also, they want their fans to be crazy.
They do.
The MCU is the man who comes in and shows you a really good time, and then they're like, I don't understand why she's being crazy. What do you mean? What do you mean you don't understand why I'm being crazy? Don't do that. Don't do that. That's what the MCU is doing right now.
Why are you being weird to me? Hand on my neck. Why are you being crazy?
Excuse me, sir.
That's exactly what happened.
Anyways, let's wrap this up.
I guess what I'm trying to say is like I am losing the capacity to run around and dig and dig and dig.
Yeah.
To try and figure out what's going on. So I will do that as the movies come out. I don't know if so much I'm going to go down the YouTube rabbit hole of trying to figure out what's the next step. I think I'm good on that for a while.
So I mean, let's talk about what's next then real quick, and then we can wrap this up and be done. So the next big movie is Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
Where we are reintroduced to Thor. He's hanging out with the Guardians, and we see Jane in the trailer. There probably wouldn't be much research you need to do for that one, but who knows what happens at the end of that one. And then later on this year, when it comes to movies, I think we're going to get the next Black Panther movie. I think it's still happening this year. So it'll be 7 movies this year.
And I think Miss Marvel is coming out.
It's a TV show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's coming out soon.
Yeah.
Which is another teenager with power.
Another teenager. Oh, yeah. That's
Kamala.
Right. Yes.
So we're getting that. There's another TV show that we're getting that I'm blanking on.
Is this Secret Invasion?
It might be Secret Invasion. I think you're right. With the Skrulls. Because they have to bring Fury back.
Right. They have to bring Fury back.
At some point, you know what? Maybe that's what we're missing. We're missing our North Star, Fury. Our guiding light.
Maybe.
Fury was out here pulling it together. And maybe that's the whole thing.
Fury's gonna come back and be like, "Excuse me, Steven. What happened?
What is going on? I've been off-world for a few years."
Wait, I know who Spider-Man is. Why don't I know who he is right now? Fury to be the one like, who is Spider-Man? Shouldn't I know who that is? Why don't I know who that is?
That is very true. That is very true.
And I said this to you, I think, in a text message not too long ago. We never got to see Fury's reaction to being blipped and the blip in general. All we did was see him get blipped, and then we see him at Tony's funeral. And I want to hear, listen, if we're going to be impaling Steve Strange on a fence, I should be able to get Fury to say motherfucker at least once in the MCU.
In the MCU. I don't know if that's going to happen, but yeah, we're supposed to be getting Secret Invasions. We're supposed to be getting Agatha, who also has dabbled.
I don't want that.
Who also has dabbled in the Darkhold magic. So we're getting House of Harkness coming through. Ironheart, we're getting Echo, we still need to get. Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, we still need to get. So
then there's also the one with the Machine Wars.
Wait, say it again?
Isn't there one called Machine Wars or something like that?
I do not recall.
It's supposed to be with War Machine. It's supposed to be with something War. Is it? I'll look it up for next time.
All right. Yeah.
But there's supposed to be something with War Machine.
Yeah. All right. Let's get our closing thoughts going.
Yeah. So then I guess to wrap up, I would just say, like I said on the top, Doctor Strange is in the Multiverse of Madness is an interesting movie. It's not a perfect movie at all. On a scale of 1 to 10, I think I'd give it like a 6.
Damn.
Yeah, like it had moments. It was visually like the best parts of the movie were many of the visual aspects. Like the musical fight scene was corny, but it was like cool to watch. There's a lot of things that were cool to watch. Yeah. The story though is just not it for me. Yeah. So
I would give it a 7.5. To me, it's a solid movie, minus the whole Mama Gone Mad thing.
I mean, so it should be less than a 7.5.
It should, but I still enjoyed it.
So if you had to rank the movies that came out this year, that would be this movie, Eternals, Shang-Chi, No Way Home. I'm not counting Black Widow.
Why would you not count Black Widow?
Because that's not Phase 4. I'm kind of like...
It is Phase 4, though.
No, it's not. It
doesn't take place in Phase 4, but...
Fine.
It's part of Phase 4 releases.
Fine. Yes, fine, yes. Okay, fine.
And it has implications because it introduces us to Yelena.
It does. Okay, fine. So of those 5 movies, how would you rank them? Like, what would be before the other?
No Way Home. What are the other ones? Oh,
Eternal, Shang-Chi, Black Widow, this.
No Way Home, Shang-Chi, Strange, Widow, Eternals.
Interesting.
I don't know. That's off the top of my head. I didn't get to think about this. So yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I haven't thought about it either. I would do No Way Home, Shang-Chi, Black Widow, Eternal, Strange.
Interesting. Fair enough. Fair enough. Any final nitpicks, highlights?
Nope. Go see it.
I got one last good nitpick. Maybe not good, but something I've been meaning to get off my chest. Miss America Chavez ends up at 616 Hermitage trying to learn how to use this ring.
Here we go.
And open up a portal. And my girl, baby girl, who punches star portal doorways into the multiverse, is having the toughest time using a damn sling ring. And here come Ned, womp, 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 and is letting in all the Peter Parkers in. So that's my final nitpick. And thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Ned should have been struggling way more.
No, I don't agree with that.
Didn't like it. It makes no sense. Baby girl is basically a mutant. She can already go through portals. Why is she struggling so much? But Ned is having the time of his life
because she's doing the same thing that Strange did when he started using the sling ring, which is overthinking it.
Still doesn't work for me.
It does. That's why she wasn't able to use her own power, because she was overthinking it.
You might have a point, but I still don't like it.
That's fair.
I'm gonna this hill, I have decided, rational or not, I will die upon. I've decided that.
It's unfortunate because I really wanted to see Ned at Carmitage, but because he doesn't even remember that he did that.
Oh yeah.
So they never have to bring it up again.
Ever. Damn. I don't know. Well, thanks guys for joining us.
All right, we'll keep track of like who's using the sling rings and stuff like that.
For sure, always and forever. This was a great conversation. I think we got a lot out about how we feel about this movie.
Go see it. We tore it apart. We tore it apart, but you should go see it if you can.
Did. All in all, and I think we both agree on this, it's a fun hang.
Yeah,
it's a fun hang. You will not walk out of there feeling like you wasted your money at all.
No.
It's a good time. It's a pretty, I'll say good movie. By a 6, it seems like you're saying decent.
If you want, it's a good viewing experience, but I care so much about the storyline. Like, it has to make sense and it has to be rewarding, that for me personally, as a consumer of this, it just didn't hit home, but you should watch it.
Yeah, I know. And it's all good. Oh, MVP for you?
Oh, MVP Wong?
Ooh, I agree. Ooh.
Maybe Christine, but I'm going to go with Wong.
Christine came in clutch a couple times. I will say Christine is quiet MVP. Wong was holding it down at Sorcerer Supreme, because we know Wong liked to walk out when trouble come through. He actually stuck around this time. And try to hold it down. So I'm gonna give it to Wong, because I just don't feel comfortable giving it to anyone else, honestly.
Yeah, Christine was definitely useful.
Yeah.
And probably essential to making sure that Strange didn't get killed by all the demons and stuff. But Wong too.
God love Wong, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, guys. Go see the movie. It's out in theaters now. Enjoy it. comment, like, subscribe, tell us what you guys thought about the movie, how y'all felt about it. Argue with us. If you felt like we was wrong on something, let us know.
I'm sure we were at some
we're
point.
here for all the smoke. I'm gonna die on my heels. So with all that being said, make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram at Casual Fangirls _. We love talking about these things, and we were happy to talk about this movie with you guys. So all in all, y'all have a great one. We'll see y'all again soon. We've got things coming up, so stay tuned. Be ready. I am Nessa.
And I'm T.
And together we are the Casual Fangirls. See you next time.